Yeah, it's like 37 days off or something.
35.
Wow.
30,000.
Yeah.
When does he go back? End of January?
Mid-January, but he's already been out a week.
Oh, wow. Who's that?
Man,
Oh, really?
but they started school super early.
College.
Is he- I thought I seen his pickup in Colfax today.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. he's all over the place.
Running around Caden Bay.
Oh, oh, is it? How nice.
Still know what's going
Seth's gonna be a little bit late, so we might want to go get
on. Okay,
started.
let's go get started. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Total minutes.
So moved. Second.
Let's move to second to approve minutes Monday, November 18th, 24 regular meeting. All those in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And Stephen Harmon too.
Oh,
Yeah, we should do that.
make a motion to approve Norm Smith from December 16th meeting. Second.
Move to second to excuse Arm Smith from December 16th regular meeting. All those in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Throwing me off, just three of us, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
Seth will be here at 10.
Seth's on his way to say to be here in 10 minutes.
Perfect. I know. Crap.
Additions or deletions?
Yes, have one. J, under consent agenda, policy 5240, staff evaluation. I put a copy in the file.
5247.
All righty. Welcome, audience. You don't really count as an audience.
Don't.
So we have no audience. All right.
Just now.
He's done. Done. Adios.
Want a break? Anything else to add?
Smoke if you got it. Back in the day, you could at the school board meetings.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it just brings back memories of going down. We had a basement where the teachers went.
Oh,
You just you just opened the door. And
We were talking about the other day, during the basketball games, everybody went out to the shop and smoked. So, you know,
Good old recording.
we had to clean the shop completely up and put ashtrays out.
Yeah.
We're big, like 5-gallon buckets full of sand and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so you go back into school the next day or whatever, next week.
Good old days.
Ready for consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first one is ASB advisors. Sandy Martin had resigned prior to this month. And so we opened it up and we had 3 people apply and I guess all 3 of them got hired. So it's a walk-in $237 fee. So we just need to approve it to hire.
All right.
Approve the agenda A with the ASB advisors, Kobe Storing, Allie Heaton, and Lauren Hart as the new ASB advisors. I second.
Move a second to approve consent agenda item A, ASB advisors. Colby Starring, Allie Heaton, and Lauren Hart. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Small
Okay,
bus.
B, under small school purchases, we're trying to crunch some numbers right now, but it's looking like it's gonna be best, it looks like it's gonna be best financially for us to purchase 2 small buses. We wouldn't get them for a year anyway, but, it's looking, I know Randy talked to Tanya and I talked to Randy. We just need to kind of all get together and agree, but, it looks like if we do 2 small buses, it's gonna be better for us financially because of the depreciation. rather just, there's two ways you can make money. One is interest, and the other is depreciation. And Tanya can explain that, but it looks like it's a better deal to go to, and so ask for your permission to do that, if that's what we, like, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it pretty quick.
We have one bus that, Randy, bus number 9, wants to depreciate. Both of these are small buses, the small buses. He actually met with Gary Wargo and went over everything. This was Gary's suggestion. And so they discussed it, and he, Tim, and Gary. The second bus is bus number 10, which comes out at the end of this year. So it'll be completely depreciated out also. And then the plan is if we do that, we get those, then we surplus at least bus 10. We may not surplus bus 9 yet, and hold it for just a little bit, and then wait 3 years, and we will have the medium-sized buses depreciated out. So we wouldn't purchase another bus for 3 years. If we do these two, the other option is just to do one small bus, hold on to the other one for a little bit. So it's just something that needs to be discussed.
We have the one bigger bus then. Is there?
Yes, yeah, we have a big bus.
Okay, yes, okay, so the two, what else? Get out.
I guess where I'm coming from is I was kind of gone when they started some of the discussions. I'd like to just see it on paper, exactly how much difference it would make. But from what I'm hearing, it's gonna be a no-brainer. The two buses is gonna be the way to go.
You would get them both right now? Versus
We
waiting?
get them
What do you-
ordered.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
It would take like 8 months.
At least.
8 months, so we wouldn't get it till fall, so it would be after we got our depreciation payment, which is like $78,000 this year. So, I mean, we have enough to afford 2 buses, but
And then by next fall, we'll get next year's apportionment too, which will raise it up over 300,000. Is that right, or is that?
you mean that,
The transportation.
the depreciation? I don't know what it'll be for the new buses, because the new buses would be added on to the following year. All I know is that it's August this year, we get 70,000, so.
But it sounds like if the 3 of them discussed and ran numbers and
Yeah, I think, and that's kind of Gary's.
put their heads
expertise.
together and kinda, that was good.
Yeah,
And nice for Tim to still be a part of those conversations.
yeah, he and Randy talked quite a bit, I think, and stuff, but I know, Gary in the position he did, that's kind of his department,
Yeah.
so he knows that pretty well.
So do we need to, you wanna wait on that one, or we're,
No, if you could approve it, then if we agree on it, we're just gonna do it, so.
Good, Jared?
Yep.
Good with it?
Yep.
I move to approve consent agenda item B, small bus purchases, 2 small buses.
Second.
Move second to approve consent agenda item B, the small bus purchases. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. These policies here, unless somebody's got an objection, we can do the first 3.
Yeah, because those ones we've already
Yeah,
went
we
through,
can
right?
do the first 3 together.
Yep.
Unless somebody says no.
Was there a second reading?
Okay.
You want me to?
Okay, you got it.
Okay, I move to approve consent agenda item C, D, and E as presented.
I'll second it.
So move seconded to approve consent agenda items C, D, and E as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Anything you want to talk about on these last
Yeah, I
4,
can-
Doug?
I can give you the reasons why they're on.
Okay.
But, policy, from F all the way through J, in your packet, you should have about, I can go through each one and go briefly if you want. Some of this came to my attention coming from the LaCrosse-WA conference. They really encourage people to get their electronic policies up to date. And, even had, it kind of started out with a discussion on artificial intelligence and all kind of, when we get to the WASDA part, I'll share something with you. But on policy number 2022, well, and then we had a situation where we had to look up some policies. And then in the process of doing that, we found out that they were pretty outdated and needed to be updated. So I had met with the staff on policy 2023 F3, because they were really encouraging us to get a student code of conduct with AI, with artificial intelligence. And they passed out a model policy right at the conference on that. So that's how it kind of got started. And then I just decided just to go ahead and update them all. So the policy 2022, the instruction, we didn't even have a copy of this in our policy book. So this is, we did have a 2022P. The first one on your packet there, 2022 is a new policy. Like I said, we didn't have it in our notebook, so that's all new, needs to be added. Okay, on policy 2022P, procedure, electronic resources and internet safety. If you're looking at the front page, and you go down like 4 paragraphs, everything on the rest of that page is new language. Where it says option number 1, option number 2, those are not in the old language. And so then on the next page, under network, that's been expanded. They've added quite a bit of language on that one too. There was some language there, but they've added quite a bit of language on the network. On, I guess it'd be on page 3, on internet safety instruction. They've expanded quite a bit of language on that too, compared to the original policy. And then on page 4, under filtering and monitoring, sorry, you go down to the very bottom. I'm not sure why that says A, but that's new language that's added to all the language above it under filtering and monitoring. So A is all new wording also. And then on page 5, under network security, they expanded that one also. New language. And then on page 6, under artificial intelligence, that's obviously new. That's all new language. It's basically just saying you have to have a policy. It's point into in a second. So anyway, there's quite a few changes on that one for 2022. Okay, the next one, 2022 FI. This is a new policy. We do not have this policy right now. And the 22 F2. These are both, the first one's a communication that you can use to send out to parents that they strongly recommend. And we somehow, we haven't been doing that for the last few years. And it's never been a policy, but it's been a practice. And somehow it just, I don't know what happened, registration didn't get done. 22 F2 is an agreement between students and the district in order to use district technology, whether it be to use a computer, internet, anything like that. And we do not have this policy right now. We had something like this a few years ago where people had to sign an agreement that I agree to this so that I can use this, but we can't find it.
That's what I could, we should have.
Yeah, we just don't. But just since it's something we need to have, because otherwise we're relying on other policies to kind of cover for it. We did have a situation we had to look up this policy. We didn't have it, so the F1 is communication to parents, and the next one is actually the agreement that the students signed with the district. That makes sense? Okay, 2023 instruction. On the second page, under student instructions, everything from all students all the way down to ethics and visual communications, the language has been updated and changed. I didn't underline all of it. There's quite a bit of language that's updated from that whole section, which includes about half the pages. So that's all new language. And this was approved in March by the state, by WASDA, the 24th. All the new language. Any questions on that?
So in what class, Doug, like reading some of that new, talk about students will learn about fairness and civil discourse, the digital environment, their digital footprint and all that. So what class is that they're going to be learning all this?
Could be any class. When I get to the next one, I'll kind of explain to you the agreements that I've got with the teachers. But it should be probably every class.
Is this something we're doing now, or is this just kind of formalizing it going forward, or that we will be doing all of this that's in this policy, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we're supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be doing it. I wouldn't know about every grade level.
Right.
Okay, and then on 2023 F3, this is the one that was shared at the conference I went to. They're pretty strongly encouraged for the artificial intelligence to have a student code of conduct, and we didn't have one. So I presented this to the secondary staff. I didn't get a chance to present it to the elementary staff. And one of the things about this student code of conduct is that we wanted something that's uniform, that people agreed on, but it also gave the teachers some flexibility. Does that make sense? That was kind of our goal, and for it to be really simple. And so this model policy, it has some things under student responsibilities. Of course, that's all new because we don't have a policy currently. But the big thing is what's at the bottom, right here. This is what I presented to the staff to get their input on it. What it does is it takes it's something that we all agree upon when they make an assignment, like if they assign a paper or a project or like that. It would come under 3 categories. One category would be artificial intelligence is permissible. Now, at any level, you can use artificial intelligence to do this project, to write this paper, whatever. And so the whole class would know that you can use artificial intelligence on this assignment. Or it's encouraged. It's where AI is recommended. So on this particular type of an assignment, you would actually encourage kids to use AI because they're going to have to be able to know how to use it anyway. It's not going to go away. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. So the first level, so when a teacher gave an assignment, they can say, okay, I'm encouraging you, I'm recommending that you use AI in this assignment. The next category is it is permitted. Not recommended, but it is permitted. So if a student chooses to use AI, then they would be okay, that it wouldn't be like a recommended thing. The third category is you can't use it. You have to do this assignment, write this paper, whatever. You can't use AI. And so what that does, and I can let Jeff kind of, because I showed it to him before I showed it to the staff, kind of get their feedback on it. I like the policy. I'm not in the classroom, but I like the policy because it is uniform. It helps the kids understand the difference between being recommended, permitted, and not allowed. But it also gives the teacher the flexibility. So like something that Jeff could say, I'm encouraging you to use AI on this one. Another teacher with the same assignment, they say no. But it's just so that the kids understand, they can recommend it or they can't at all. When I was at the WASDA conference, the law conference, they said if you don't have something like this in place, then it's just kind of a free-for-all. I mean, some kids are going to use it, whereas if they all had been told to use it, they might have gotten it handy. I don't know. And the staff, it's new to them too. but I presented it, just because I was told that's a good idea. But I wanted to get the staff's kind of feedback on it. It's new to them, so I don't know if they had any real strong feelings, but I think they understood the concept of teaching kids when they can use it, how to use it, and when they can't use it.
Can, like Jeff, it sounds like it'd be beneficial for them, that everybody to at least do it once or something, so can you require them to?
Yeah.
Does that need to be in the policy that teachers can also require
Instead of recommended.
instead of recommended? Because what if you want to make sure every student, got introduced to that, then you'd have an assignment, you say you have to use AI on this one.
I'd be shocked if they had the option and they wouldn't use it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, even just in a couple of years, I feel like they're gonna be like, we can't use it. That would be a hard one for them. So,
Maybe by giving these options, I guess, such a weird thing that's out now, but like compared to
no, it's so weird.
but it's like at least maybe this, you're not saying like, no, you can't use it ever, and then you get all the ones that will still go, like maybe they'll like the option that like, maybe you'll get less of that stuff when you have these three options, I guess.
Well, no, there's a downside to it too, is if you tell them they can't use it, then use it, then
I know, but it'll,
that puts the pressure on the teacher.
Right, but you'd
No.
think there'd be less of that when there's these three things, I don't know.
that's why I feel like, would you not know that if you don't use it, but they can use it, but then write their paper else? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be hard to not use it, I guess.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
We have the
And being a
encyclopedia.
teacher too, like, that would be the,
Jeff, if they use it and they're not supposed to use it, isn't there something that pops up?
So with what, we have it turned off, like the one that Google has, we have it turned off on their Chromebooks. But that doesn't mean they couldn't use something, because there's the free versions of everything and then the non, that you pay for, and they definitely have a difference. I'm pretty sure I had a kid use it last year, because they had an assignment that was way better than any other assignment all year. And the colleges are dealing with it. This was a big discussion at college and the high school day in the history department breakout, with a kid who wrote their paper on their own, then put it into AI to proofread, and the AI made a bunch of changes to it. Do you count that still as the paper? And the discussion was, well, if you went to the writing center at Eastern and they looked it over and made those changes, we're saying that's okay. But then you were saying the AI. So I mean, even in the room, we couldn't agree like what the line was, and that was a room full of 5 college professors and 20 high school teachers. There was no good answer.
But this is a first reading, so you have to make a decision tonight. And you could think about the required part. The way I presented it was just the way it's written, recommended. So I could talk to the teachers and ask them if they wanted to change that to the required.
Well, just would we be in violation of our policy if a teacher did require? I mean, it looks to me like we would be, just from what our policy says. And then a teacher required it. That's what you guys figured out.
They could add a fourth category.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
that would, the only thing that would bother me is just, we'd be doing something off our policy.
Well, it's like everything else too, you don't know how it's gonna affect you, it's all policy. I mean, it could end up being a nightmare for teachers, but they were pretty convincing of the speakers that I had. They were like lawyers and attorneys and then just other people that did deal with AI on a regular basis. They were pretty convincing that you at least need to get something started. You could always change it if you needed to. But they said if you have no policy, that would be, in some ways, they said that would be kind of a disservice to the kids, because they're using that in other schools. And just to be able to know how to use it the right way. It gives the staff some flexibility, but it also gives them an opportunity to teach them ethically how to use it. And if this isn't the policy that we want, we can change it. But they really recommended that you get something going, because it's here people are gonna use it, it's not gonna go away. So it's just life now.
I don't see anything wrong with this policy.
Okay, like I said, those are all first readings anyways.
Great. Okay.
Okay, and then J, policy 5240. Our current policy is dated 1999, and the language in the policy is totally, it's not relevant to anything that's going on now. This is the one that I put on your.
Oh.
This was at the top in 5240.
That I have also.
I didn't put the old one in there, I guess I could have, if you're interested in like yourself here, but it's, the process that it addresses is the old style, I mean, old, like 20-some years ago, when they used to have, they didn't use very comprehensive, they used another language, but if you did pretty well, you went to a short form, and we don't have any of that stuff anymore. And it doesn't refer to some of the policies that does here. This one actually breaks it down into certified teachers and principals, and the RCW is that are in reference to certificated support personnel. These are people who are not certified teachers, but they are certified. And it takes a different evaluation tool than the one that we use for the teachers in their classes. That's under TCAP. And we use the Marzano as a different criterion. But there are some jobs, like our nurse, jobs like this, that you have to use a different evaluation tool. And they recommend the ESA. I did contact, last week I contacted PEPSI. It's the Public Employee Standards Board, with a lot of questions, because we had questions about people who have different assignments, and they were really specific about separating like certified teacher from certified something else. If you have people in a small school doing different roles, then they need to be certified. They need to be evaluated using the tool that goes with their job. And if they have multiple jobs, then they have to have multiple evaluation tools. And it puts more work on the principal and probably the teachers. But you can't use one evaluation tool for all. It has to be specific to their responsibilities and their assignment. And then other administrative staff, and then talks about classified. The old language wouldn't refer to any of this. So that's the first reading also.
How many policies do we have, Doug? You're counting what?
In the book?
Yeah, the total every.
And that we have a person right now, because they're supposed to be on our website. And Rhonda Curtis right now is going through and putting them on the thumb drives. And there's a 1,000 series all the way up to 6,000 series. And put them on thumb drives, and then as you approve them, then I give back to her. And our goal is to get them on the website. Pretty quick. I mean, as soon as we can. She's still got some to call me on. I told her to kind of stop for a while because we had all these policies to be approved. That's it. Because otherwise you're going to have to like today. So we come back from Christmas break. So I start up again and figure out a way to get on the website.
Yeah, I can do it.
It's pretty, I mean, we paid, remember, a few years ago, we paid $1,000 for WASA to go through all our policies.
Right.
And it was good, except for, it didn't save us any, well, it saved us some reading time, but it didn't really save us any work. Because when they give it to you, they kind of put in categories, urgent or essential, recommended like that. And then on the side, they said, you have to add new language, but they don't pay what language necessarily add all the time. So you still have to go through every policy.
Yeah.
So that's, what I've been doing is just like the ones that come across as essential, and then things like that are urgent, but Teresa worked for in the district office, so she kind of knows how it goes. Some schools try to do like 8 or 10 a month.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of language.
All right, well, if we're done with all these policies, move down to capital.
Okay, well, let's have, under capital, we, I don't know if it's exactly capital, but we got this, I got this email this morning. It's pretty, I mean, it's not, the Hagen Foundation's been really good to us in terms of all the things we've gotten over at least $50,000-$60,000 worth of equipment in the shop. And I think last year was the first year they've been turned down, and all we did was apply for it. This year we applied for our weight room to replace the universal machine. That's a 1964. It's 4 years newer than the building. And so we finally did some research and found one that the prices. We submitted it. We got a new universal machine, and we also get a new treadmill. And it says here we're supposed to get the letter of the check in the mail, possibly this week.
So that's what this is going to, is the new universal machine.
Our other one was kind of limited. We're missing some spots, and it's probably not as safe as in 1964. The safety standards were less. So it's pretty nice. The one that worked. It was nice to get this because our community does community use it.
Yeah. Get on that.
What are you gonna do with the old one?
I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll get this for fun.
Yeah.
I thought about getting it to Nate. Just tell me to take it.
Or Nate, yeah.
Because he's
Tell
like
me
it. Like he used it.
Yeah.
Brian one.
It's an antique.
I know, it's like,
Mhm.
Put it behind a glass case.
Piece of machinery.
Okay.
Okay.
So what Colby and Sandy researched the equipment too, and I think they decided that treadmill was a priority, getting an updated treadmill in there too.
Okay, the other thing on capital, last Tuesday, we had a walkthrough. We had 2 general contractors and several subcontractors that showed up. And then under handout, this is covered in spreadsheet. After the next day, Greg was contacted by 2 other general contractors. And so the 4 contractors that have said they're going to submit a bid for tomorrow are the ones that are highlighted there. Everybody else is, my understanding, everybody else is a subcontractor that's expressed some interest in. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we're opening up the bids, and we'll find out. One of them is Magnum Construction, another one is Cascade Central Construction. Those 2 were both at the walkthrough on Tuesday. And then Cliff Thorne Construction out of Richland and Exco Construction out of Othello have both notified us that they're going to submit bids. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we'll find out. I did talk to Greg today. We budgeted $500,000. He gave us an estimate of how much it would cost. I think he estimated $485. What time he just put in $500,000. I asked him today what happens if the lowest bid is $600,000. And he said he said you have the option of rejecting all bids if you want to start over or something in next year. Or you said he said one of the services that they help us with is if you want to try to make a deal with the lowest bidder. But he said you have to go with the lowest bidder if you're going to pick somebody. But you can negotiate with them. On some things. If it involves making some change orders, which would probably remove stuff from the project, I guess. So that's the one feature I have is kind of $100,000 over what we were told it would cost.
There isn't really much we can cut out of this project. There's really no frills in it as it is, so.
Yeah. But there was, it had quite a bit of interest from subcontractors too. They were all kind of interested. So tomorrow's deal is just for the general contract.
And when are those bids all supposed to be back, Doug?
But
When are the bids all supposed to be in?
tomorrow 3.
All three.
Yeah, they're supposed to contact Greg at noon if they have some questions or by noon tomorrow. And then we're gonna open them up at 3 o'clock at the library. When safety and technology talk, I'm gonna try and find my notes.
Okay. So safety, I guess
In
that's
my
you.
safety.
Your safety.
I just told Doug today, that's the one criterion I feel like I'm failing. I did, E3 is updated as of this afternoon with everybody's correct information in it, hopefully. I sent out an all-staff email to everybody to update their app, because that was a problem the last time, not only that, but I hit the wrong button. So hopefully we're gonna have a drill on Wednesday. I'm gonna do a secure and teach because frankly, it's an easy one, doesn't disrupt much, and I can see if I can get the grant done. First of the year, the plan is to get a new safety team together, because we've got Randy that's new, Colby should be on it with chemicals. We just have some people in and out, so we really need to bring a new team together. That's about all I got for safety.
All right. Tech.
Nothing really to report, just working on grants. Jan and I had a meeting with the group the other day that's kind of looking to do those boards and potentially some other stuff where if we actually order more, we have a better chance of getting it. So we're kind of coming up with our wish list now to figure out what we want to get in there, so.
Just wants to do the sports too over here.
So junior high will finish up. They were in Garpal tonight. They'll finish up on Wednesday. Their game's here at 4:30. And so come out and support. The high school game is for Endicott is tomorrow night, 4:30 and 6 against Prescott. And then we have our games here on the 4th and the 13th. Am I off by a day? But it's those Saturdays we come back. The first one we come back and break, and then the next one. So Dayton and then Oakesdale. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
I know that there's legislative falls in there, but I got the letter from Sandy Jamison, and so for 2025, Morgan, Danielle, and Harmon you guys will be up to fill out your paperwork. She said she'd be getting ahold of you guys soon, so love that.
Ready.
Is that on its own?
It's pretty easy, just fill out some information.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you just go to the courthouse or you can do it online.
I think I did it online.
The test only takes a couple hours.
Don't sign me up for that. Couple legal trainings, okay. I'm good at that.
Random ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, back to capital, I guess.
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay. Anybody have any questions about the spreadsheet, I guess, the capital spreadsheet?
I updated, the only thing that's updated from the last one I gave you is castle log design, came in about a little bit 2,000 more than I estimated. I had it like, 38 something.
Right.
So, and that bill is paid with this month's AP, which I need to get that AP, sorry.
Okay. Was there anything else on pledge policy? Please?
On this one?
E.
If you guys-
We've gone through everything else.
Or you've gone through sports already?
Has you got anything to add to either, any of those?
Well, the only thing on athletics, I'm just kind of, let you know, I'm still pursuing information on the one thing that's called. I met with Mike and Brett Bond, who's the superintendent for Site and Keto, because they have 180. So then meet with them to kind of get some input from them. They're in the process of reorganizing what they do. They believe that they're still going to have 180 and then just hire site managers rather than bring it all up to one person, because they were having trouble with just physical presence. But I contacted WAA for some more help, and they have a person, his name's Jesterson. He works for WAA, and he's the coordinator for athletic co-ops in the state. So I talked to him. He gave me some information I'm going to share with the co-op, and he also gave me the names of 3 schools that he believed have the 180 system, and they are one's Lindenville, Spray, and then some other schools, of course, talking about Lamont in there too. One that he strongly suggested was to contact Raymond in South Bend, and I just recently was able to find out who he is, my fellow, and Waterfield and Mansfield. Those are the 3 that when I talked to Chesterfield, that Kesterson, and he recommended that I talk to. So I'm still working on that. I'll have a report by the 13th.
Okay. Is anybody helping with this, or are you just doing it on your own?
Well, I'm just doing it on my own because I talked to Trish, and she really doesn't have much to do with high school.
Right.
And then I talked to Mark, and he just didn't want to help. So it's fine. It's just faster to do it myself. The one thing that I am hearing from Brett and Mike is that they recommended that they have junior high be a different person than high school. Right now, they have one person that does everything, is my understanding. And it's just too, like physically, you can't be everywhere. And almost every night, if you have a high school game somewhere, most likely you have a junior high game somewhere too. So they're redoing the way that they write theirs up, so they're going to have a junior high person, probably a high school person, just because it's just not just can't be everywhere. And but he thinks they're going to stay with the 180 thing. They're just going to separate the junior high and high school. But I'll write up when I can find out. But the guy from WIA said that I think they kind of know what Lindenville does, basically. I think if you want to be in their co-op, you got to come there. But so I'm not sure about the CE thing. I think they just have 180 for high school, 180 for junior high. And then Raymond in South Bend and Waterville, Manson, I have to contact people.
But Lindenberg, is there a difference though? Like, is all their games in Ritzville? I mean, they're not going from, yeah, that's what I'm saying, so it
High
is
school
different.
games are in Goodsville.
Yeah. That's all my school.
I think there's 5 schools in that. I think there's 5. There's a men, Ritzville, Spray, Lamont, and West Hartford. There are 5 schools. 5 towns.
Okay.
Under legislative,
Hey, Jack, we back up right there. Just a reminder that the sports board meeting is here, January 13th.
13th. Not this last Thursday, but Thursday before that, We had a legislative meeting up in Spokane, all the superintendents were invited, pretty much all of them went, and they met with some legislatures. That's a kind of an annual thing, and they before they had it set up so that schools and districts rotated in rooms, and each room had a legislative person in it to just talk with that person. And so you were with a couple other districts, so you kind of moved around. They did it different this year, and I kind of shared some of this information with Terry and Harm when they were here the other day. They did it different this year in that they paired multiple districts together. Like we're in the 9th district, and they paired us up with the 4th district, which I believe is like Moses Lake, Othello, and right into Adams County, and I think some of Grant counties. And then what they did was, for 45 minutes, they let the legislatures share their concerns about the new session and about their concerns about school. It's an interesting way to do it this year. And we took a break and let people talk to different legislatures that were there. And then the second 45 minutes after that, they let the superintendents share with the legislatures their thoughts. Okay, so I'll go as fast as I can so you got the idea. They had two, Suzanne Schmick and Leonard, can't remember his last name, but he's from the Mozambique area. They were there. And Suzanne was real concerned about traditional kindergarten being cut. Right now we're being told that the funding for transitional kindergarten is going to be cut in March because they have so many more kids in transitional kindergarten in the state than they budgeted for. Because that's based on apportionment. Okay. And everybody's against that. I mean, every legislature that was there was against that, cutting that, because the research that is out there on kids that had, Tony and I talked about this the other day. I had 3 grandkids that go to school here, and the difference between what the youngest one learned in transitional kindergarten and the experience the other kids had just doing preschool, and there's no comparison. And it's night and day. And that's been the experience for almost every school that done it. So that was one of their concerns, is trying to figure out a way to keep the funding going. And that's another 6 months of funding, all the way from March or April all the way to August or September. And so that was a big concern of theirs. They also, all 3 of the legislatures that were in our room said that they felt that, this is interesting, they felt that the legislature needed to shift some of the money that they were spending on social issues and redistribute it back into the academics. They felt that, it just they emphasized it too much, the social issue, and not that, like they don't want equity, they just felt like they were putting too much money into it. But that was just the 3 people that were there. They're all under the assumption that they said every school district in the state is operating under 15% inside, which means that 85% of your expenses are personnel, and then you're trying to run your business on 15%. And they couldn't. All three people that were there were business people, and they thought that was upside down. So they're concerned about that. They were really happy to see that districts are being very proactive as far as cell phones. That just came out of the blue. But they're really proactive about it. They said when they hired people just went down the phones all day long. The one guy was a contractor, a pretty good sized contractor. Made it sound like he had way over 100 employees. He said that that's one of the biggest problems when they hire people. You walk into the office and what they're supposed to work on their cell phones. And so he applauded the fact that schools are trying to be proactive about how appropriate it is. One thing that all 3 of them said was that they felt that schools needed to focus more on getting kids job ready out of high school. And they felt that this is just, and I'm just the messenger. Okay. They felt that schools were overemphasizing a 4-year university for everybody. Both, 2 of the ladies, 2 of the people own businesses. one guy on the pretty business. He said that he tries to hire people out of high school. He really wants them to have some certifications. He says he can hire a kid out of high school and pay him $100 an hour for to be a plumber. And then when they actually get their the plumbing certificate, whatever you call it.
Apprenticeship stuff,
Then
yeah.
he's paying up to $240 an hour. And so he said it's possible if a kid comes to work for me out of high school, instead of $100 an hour, and a year later, he'd get $250 an hour. But he said they have to come out of high school with some skills. So that was his, that was kind of his concern, is that the schools needed to focus a lot more on getting kids prepared to enter a job force right out of high school. Mark Sessler was there, and he was the only one that was, he didn't ask any questions, he just kind of nodded. And I actually followed him into the bathroom to ask him a question, just because he wouldn't talk about it, he wouldn't acknowledge it. Somebody asked him a question about the smart kind of funding, and he wouldn't acknowledge it. And so at break, I went out to talk to him, and he was walking in the bathroom, so I was sitting in there. And I talked to him about our levy funding, about how we're at the, our levy got reduced by $400,000 a year. And I said, we've been doing this now for about 4 years, and it's just not sustainable. We're making $600,000 now down to $200,000, which is basically nothing. And that's because they divided all the schools up into 2 categories. One is assessed value, and the other one is per pupil. And if you have less than 100 kids, you get $2,500 a kid. It's just not sustainable. And he didn't really have an answer because it was somebody else's fault. But that's his kind of. The superintendents, when they talk, the very first thing that was up that everybody brought up was the insurance costs. There's 3 schools in the Spokane Valley, Central Valley, West Valley, East Valley, and they're all sitting together at the table, and they all shared with the legislature that 2 years ago, their insurance costs were about $500,000, about different sized schools, and this year they're $1.5 million. So their insurance in 2 years went up $1 million. And so he said, that's not sustainable. And the insurance was a big deal. Because like CV, West Valley, Central Valley, they said, in this point, it's projected to go up another 30%. So 30% of 1.5 million, that's another.
This next year, they're saying this next school year, another 30%.
Well, that's just what they told us at the meeting. They said that's projected to go up 30%. So they shared with the legislature that that's it's just not sustainable for districts like Central Valley, West Valley, East Valley. $1 million. That's just huge. That's over a 2-year period. And so that's programs, personnel, everything. And when you're operating, when you're running your school, we're above 15%. We're closer to 20%. But most of the schools that were at the meeting I went to were about 15%. But that's what they're having to pay all these extra costs for. Rosea talked a lot about life insurance mostly too. They also mentioned too that they asked the legislature not to approve, and I forget what it's called, but what it is, it almost passed last year, but it would decrease the statute of limitations on lawsuits in schools. Right now, we've got I don't know, 10 years, I'm guessing, but it almost passed last year. It does pass to do away with the statute of limitations, and people can sue the school from 50 years ago. And they said that they do that, the message we gave to the legislators said, if you think our costs are right now.
Well, Doug, sorry. When I was listening to the clear risk, whatever, and stuff. That was actually one of the reasons they gave for why they have to. It hadn't happened yet, but they were thinking that was coming. That's one of the reasons that they gave for increasing rates.
Yeah, it almost passed last year. That's what the legislature should have, came really close to passing last year. And when you get sued, our districts have like five, they talked about like $5,000 or something. But it's still, you pay later because of the cost that they put out. So it's just, they were really worried that was going to pass.
It's hard to imagine, our state Supreme Court going along with that. You can't just carve out one part of the state and say, okay, you don't have statute of limitations. But other state agencies, but they're gonna still have theirs. I just can't imagine. We do live in Washington, but I have a hard time imagining that they'll let them carve out the schools and say, you guys, everybody else still falls under this law, but you don't.
I don't know if it was just the schools. They made it sound like.
So there might be other people other organizations that they're gonna do that to also.
And then the big one was on bus drivers. Schools were, bus drivers are so hard to find right now that a lot of schools are using vans and Suburbans. And one of the issues with that is that you don't get reimbursed for mileage like you do. If it's a yellow bus, then it can be part of your yearly mileage. But when you use Suburbans and vans, you can't declare that. So they asked the legislatures to work on that and try to get it, because so many schools are doing it. Pullman School District said that they only average 2 days a week where all of their bus drivers show up on the same day. And 3 days a week, average 3 days a week, they have to find other people. So what they do is they have central office staff, they have paras, they have teachers, coaches, whatever, drives vans, Suburbans, go pick up kids on routes. And this isn't like a field trip, like routes. And Bob, superintendent said, he said that's 3 days a week we have to find extra drivers. It's only average about 2 days a week, but everybody can show up because they have those subs. So he said he's been having to drive vans on the different routes and stuff. So it's
Like buses will be
and
going into
then almost every school there, like we use Suburbans. And if they would just allow us to declare that mileage, that would help also. So that was a big push, was the mileage factor.
We could probably use some of our routes could go Suburban. I feel like sometimes my kids are the only ones on the bus to go home or something,
Yeah. So anyway, that was, and Pullman was really pushing that hard. They said they would hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's a lot of different routes there.
Yeah.
Oh, they have town routes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of the short version of 5 hours, like a 5 hour day. Good 30.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of information there first thing out of good.
Oh.
All right. Guess we're going to board retreat.
I haven't scheduled it yet, but we're going to shoot for the end of February.
Right. Okay. WASDA conference update.
When I went to WASDA, I went to the law conference, and the law conference, they focused on AI, which I've already talked about. They spent a lot of time on the WAA, the pressure that WAA under with the Title IX issue, the Title IX equity issue, and transgender athletes and all that stuff. It was interesting because everybody in the room kept talking about this letter that Linden had written. There was 2 school districts that had issued written letters referring to transgenders, especially the transgender, like a woman in girls' sports. And so they were all referring to Linden. And I was sitting at this table and I was looking around, and this guy raised his hand like this. He said, "I'm the superintendent of Linden. Just go ahead and ask me." So, and the whole room just, rented.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because they were saying all these bad things about me. You know, and so, and then Eastmont was there, but it was just, that was an interesting dilemma right now. Yeah, talked a lot about Title IX. They also talked about teachers' free speech rights. After the post-Joe Kennedy decision, because who Joe Kennedy is. Joe Kennedy was a football coach at Bremerton, and he would go out on the field and pray after the game. And sometimes kids would join him, sometimes they wouldn't. Anyway, he was ordered to stop because it was a public event. And he didn't stop, and so he lost his job. And then it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And they went through and explained how he got his job back, and how they ruled on that. So they talked a lot about free speech. And then I also went to a session on the superintendent evaluation, which I hopefully get a chance to share with you because it's quite interesting to learn these numbers now. And I also went to as many breakout sessions as I could on school financing. I just learned as much as I possibly could. I spent quite a bit of time with the Yakima School District and North Shore School District. They ate lunch with the people from North Shore School District Monday so I talked to them for an hour. Just on school financing and how people are being creative and what they're trying to do and that kind of thing. So it was a pretty cool conference. Any questions?
Not at this point. Well, thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, principal's report.
She's here. Wore my pajamas just for you. Take one and pass it down to this class. Do you want one of these, Jeff? It's a lot of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you hear me blah, blah, all the time anyway.
These M&Ms have been like staring at me the whole
Do it.
time. I'm trying to be so good.
That's like it.
It's right before Christmas.
I know, right?
Too hard.
You got some.
What kind are those?
Chocolate chip or
Oh,
just
that's the
chocolate
one I want.
Just chocolate.
chip? Chocolate chip.
Yeah,
That's
Just regular
fine,
chocolate
I'll take that.
Chocolate.
Okay.
No, I just have a shell.
I feel like you need like halftime snacks.
Yeah.
You're like, what does this say when
We
we're
get
gearing
the
up
little-
before the principal's report?
Little
Need
milk,
some sugar before I talk, do you?
little cartons of milk would be cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know where to find that. Michelle will get back to the problem.
probably
No, you don't have a, did she hand something to you or no?
Oh, piece of paper.
You're supposed to take one, Terry, and pass it down.
We got one serious.
He's
one.
like, "Dude, isn't he?"
He was that kid back in the day.
Sorry, I was
There
just
should be
making sure.
one for Doug
Oh, I
too.
got one. Okay, sorry, Deb. There you go.
I'm not gonna read this verbatim, but, it makes me be organized. So just like every month, I'm gonna go through the criterion that Doug is gonna have to evaluate me on at the end of the year. Number one, creating a culture, has been pretty much my focus all year. I tried this new format, highlights, elementary is using, walk to read and walk to math, supporting kids, very good supportive environment. Kids are getting what they need. If you don't know what that means, if I have a second grader that's at a fourth grade math level, they'll go to fourth grade to do math. If I have a second grader that's still in kindergarten reading level, he'll go to kindergarten for reading. And they progress monitor that on a regular basis to see where the kid is, and it's just like, it's great. Kids are getting what they need. One thing we did talk about this week was with math though, because things build so much, is you might get a kid that moves up, but doesn't have the prerequisite skills. So we're being a little bit more mindful of that. Staff and students, we're trying to get, introducing more of the pre-pandemic traditions. Tradition big here. So we're doing that, with he or she. It's been a long day. Mr. Curtis talked about Mrs. Martin had resigned from ASB, and so now I have Allie, Lauren, and Colby, and it's really fun to see them with the kids. And today we weren't sure that it wasn't going to be a failure, and the kids pulled it together, and it was a really fun assembly, I thought. They actually wanted to cancel it at 7:30 this morning. So they're baking cookies. They ordered a box of, I believe it was 240, and I think they sold 220 some. So they're all, Colby wasn't so sure about baking, but he's doing it. He's in it to win it. I just think it's important that that everybody has a voice. And we need to increase engagement opportunities for family and community members. I know January, we've been talking about the month of January, doing a movie night. Kind of keep it simple, January, not do a big to-do. Ensuring school safety, like I said, I felt like I was failing in that department, but I kind of got my act together today, got E3 going, ready to do a drill. I think that's one of my, I don't know how, and I'm not afraid, but you know how you avoid the thing you really don't know how to do? I'm kind of doing that a little bit, so I'm working on that. The other part of the safety thing is the mental health piece. I've been working really close with Liz, who comes from Pouce River Counseling. We need to have a comprehensive mental health plan. So how can kids reach out when they need services? How can they, how can a teacher, like I had a teacher today come to me with a kid that they felt needed to have services. We don't have a system. And that's what I'm finding in a lot of things. I've been going over that all week. We need systems. There are no systems in place, so we're building systems. I'm a rule follower. I just want rules. Let's follow the rules and let's get from point A to point B by these rules that are laid out. Planning with data. We have attendance behavior data. I'm hoping we're going to start having some regular team meetings. We identified middle school math as a key area of need. So we've done Janet, Mark, and April have worked with Deb Polkowski from ESD. We've also realigned some of the kids so that kids at the same levels are at the same classrooms. And Janet's working pretty high with some kids that need accommodations. I think it's going to be good. We're pulling in some curriculum because we didn't have curriculum. So we're making forward progress. We're also going to look at next semester and see what our needs are. I have a group 7th period that took a running start class this semester, I guess, that are not going to take one next semester. So got to figure out what we're going to do that period. We're exploring some other data collection tools other than just maps because we need a clearer picture, and also some PD next year on what do we do with the data once we have it. Because I feel like we have tons of data. I could show you your kids' map score, but what are we really doing with that data to guide their instruction? Aligning curriculum, talked more about progress monitoring and walk to read, walk to map. Improving instruction. I've been doing frequent walkthroughs, giving people some actionable feedback. Next steps, still talking about working with middle school math. I think we just need to focus on one piece of the puzzle and get that wheel going and then go to the next one. I'd like to see a peer coaching program, more collaboration among staff. Like I said, we have a lot of good pieces to the puzzle. We just need to put them together. And number 4, Jeff probably hates hearing me say this over and over again, but Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We can't do that. We got to change what we're doing if we want different results. Managing resources, work with Tanya, just talking about what budgets look like, what do we need. I mean, it's that I don't know what I don't know. So she's really good about anytime I say, hey, how does this work? She either knows or we figure it out together. She has a lot of resources. I have a few resources and we figure out stuff together. We're going to need to communicate the need for fiscal responsibility with our staff and talk about what's essential. increased transparency around that. They're working on more grants. January's let me try to write a grant. So that's kind of like, wow. Engaging families, we've been doing a lot of that. I think it's been really good. I feel like the community is really supporting us, which is really neat to feel. Closing the gap. They're talking about middle school math again, push-in services with Janet, and some data that goes along with it. So that's about all of that little report I gave you. One thing I've asked the ASB kids, I asked them today, which today was too soon, but I want them to come give you a report on what's going on at school. I mean, I know what's going on, but I think the kids need to have a voice, and I think the kids need to come to a school board meeting. And maybe we'll push that piece to the first so they don't have to sit through everything, but it would be nice for them to at least see the first part. They were all up for it. I only have, in any given day, one of them might be doing sports and that might not work, but it sounded like they would really like to do that. But tonight you're stuck with me. We had Whitman, I kind of went back to when I was gone from the last meeting, so I'm like, what are we doing then? What was going on? So I know that Tuesday was the Whitman County Career Fair. It was a huge success. Cody planned it, everybody pitched in, and I heard it was an amazing event. The robotics kids went to Spokane last week. Their robot didn't do everything they wanted it to do, but it was a great learning experience for them. Yeah.
Are they done then for the year? Or-
They are done.
Okay, so
They
they're
are
Let's start
done.
over.
Yeah, they are done. My daughter did that competition and hers didn't do it, everything she wanted to do even one time. So I understand that completely. The seniors had donkey basketball. It was great. People are jealous that we get to have that. It's actually pretty cool. Jeff talked about sports. The only thing I wanted to add is we had Avery, Kate, and Coach Jen participated in the Washington State Volleyball Coaches Association All-State game. So that was pretty cool. LaCrosse Parks and Rec is offering open gym on Fridays from 6 to 7:30, and yes, they carry their own insurance. FFA's been busy selling Christmas trees and wreaths. The last Christmas tree sold today. There's still a number of wreaths left, and that had to do a little bit with 4-H too.
Like 3, so I'm tapped.
I have 2, one on this door, one on my own. At the end of the week, Tammy and I were talking today, we're thinking the ones that are left we'll donate to either like the senior living facility in Colfax or somewhere where they will go to people that will enjoy them. Christmas concert was awesome. I bought those drums with the light up drumsticks. I just want to buy my grandsons those drumsticks. And then when the kids sang Let It Snow and it was snowing outside, that was pretty cool. ASB, about the cookies, 220 of them, and Secret Santa is in full swing. The elementary students went to Colfax to see Hello Dolly. At the high school. And then their other field trip was to Thrifty Grandmothers. I got a really nice thank you card and talked about how great our kids were there from them and invited us back next year. And if you don't know what the kids did, they went to the thrift shop in Colfax and they got a $10 gift certificate to buy presents for their family. So I can't wait to see what you get.
They're really big this year.
They came home with just bags.
Bags.
It was crazy.
I was like,
And it was like, we were like,
well,
it was like, who has wrapping paper? We were trying to get wrapping paper. It was great. And then because of temporary closure of the local food bank, Cody took it on, and the Council on Aging brought food to the school to be distributed amongst the students. Cody and the crew did a great job organizing the day, and students got to actually take a bag and shop for food. It was pretty interesting. It was slick. Then Friday, students were surveyed if they felt like they had food needs. They were able to get another bag of food, and I think they have planned to do that again this week too. And last but not least, I have a group of go-getter parents at the elementary school, and they're kind of reinventing a parent group. They asked me, can we? And I say, oh yeah, let's do it. One is spearheading a yearbook Jeff's helping. Gonna get at least a shutterfly or some kind of a book together for the kids. The other one, we had Santa today. And if you've never seen the kid that's like, Santa, it was totally that. And they all got a gift. Bethany, I don't know, there was a group, but I know Bethany spearheaded a lot of it, got donations. Every kid had written a letter to Santa and every kid got a gift that was personalized to them today. And it wasn't like a toy from the dollar store. It was like a STEM kit or a tractor or an RC car or a Barbie it was just incredible. And they were in these gift bags that, I don't know what the name of the laser printing place is, but they're like ornaments now that you have your kid's name on that were the tag for the bag.
Which the bags are pillowcases.
Are they pillowcases?
They're pillowcases.
I did not know that. Oh, cool.
So,
And then they had cocoa, and then they went into the kitchen and had cocoa, and your mom saved the day and made sure it all went out, and it was, and who knew you just heat up chocolate milk in a crock pot, you have to have chocolate. Note to everybody out there.
It was good.
That just, why didn't we think of that, you know? Yeah, and that was just, it was an amazing day. I mean, it was just all the feels. So that's all I got.
Talking about the awards.
What awards?
Well,
oh, the one guy came.
last, yeah.
Oh.
I
I thought we talked about last time, but you can talk about it again.
We had this guy from the student leadership came and presented a state award for a culture award. It's an inaugural award. This is the first year that state's ever done it. And there was like 30 schools in the state that were awarded this award out of 295. And we were one of them because we had a presentation with, got a banner, we put it up here somewhere. And earlier in the year, we got that other banner, the achievement banner. But it was for 21, 22.
Yeah.
So we didn't.
I seen that picture.
We took a picture because Kate was able to come out. So,
Well, that's what confused me. I thought she was gone and she was in the picture and I'm like, is this an old picture or is this?
well, we just came out, we just took a picture because she was here.
Oh, okay.
And so we're gonna get both banners up. The achievement award is the same thing as those, and but during the COVID, they kind of got dropped. And so different organizations took it over, distribution, like AWSB, whereas those were OSPI. And so the one that's so they're a couple years behind, trying to get caught up. So that was 21, 22. But anyway, we'll get those up. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Very.
But the other one is my first one.
Yeah.
So it's even cooler.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to bring up, if you're talking about the gym, playing basketball and stuff, but our gym floor is getting really bad. Our gym floor is getting really bad. So I don't know, what we need to put it on the radar. I know it's expensive, but we need to talk about it and figure out if it's something we can do or what, but it's kind of gotten to the point now where there's no denying it, it's getting pretty evident to everybody, so.
Yeah, well, it's brought up too, yeah. But I thought, we were planning on doing it this coming year. I thought we had talked about it a while back.
About refinishing it or
Yeah, I
something?
thought maybe this summer we were, I don't know.
Yeah.
He talked about stripping it.
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
When you strip it, you take all the writing off too, so you have to decide what you're gonna put back up, what you're not gonna put back up.
Yeah.
But, we haven't been doing that. This last summer was the first time I can remember that we didn't have somebody come in and clean it, and harness it. But we do it this year.
Yeah. And you can tell, and I don't know if going forward, we're gonna have to be a little more careful about how the gym gets used, because it's getting to be such an expense to keep that floor up, I don't know if we have to be more, kids gonna take their shoes off, and, I don't know, I don't know the answer to that question, but the gym floor is pretty beat up. I'll try to keep it as good as we can, as cheaply as possible going forward.
Hopestone, they sanded theirs down, took everything off, replaced it with pretty nice. It's kind of a it's kind of a lighter color, which I kind of like. It's not the darker color that things used to always be. It's not even what you call it. It's a lighter color. I think it was really nice.
I guess it'd be nice for January or February or something to have an estimate on what that's gonna cost to redo it. Should be a summer thing, right? I mean, that's,
Oh, yeah.
we wouldn't even touch it till then, so.
Well, I'm hoping if the weather holds somewhat, Greg explained to the people out here that they want to get the connected like they're going, like, in January.
Good, yeah. All right, looks like we're down to finance.
You guys can see what our bottom line is right now, and it's definitely a concern. It is, but also November, so this is all based off of November. November and May are our lowest apportionment months. We only get 5% of our apportionment in November. So that's a huge chunk, because if you look at most of our months, we're usually think the next, about 9% is the average, with the highest ones coming in July and August. So yeah, that is definitely something I think that we're all aware of, looking forward, trying not to stress about it, but we all need to be aware of it. A whole lot to say.
Johnny also made a comment that capital.
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of shared this.
Oh,
with
yeah,
you
so we
in
went
the
over that.
paperwork. Yep, so the retainage fee to Madigan was finally paid this month, and Seth will see it when he's going through the bill, so we are completely done with that part of the gym project. And I did claim that 40,000 this month, which, for that $100,000 grant we got, so the next one, so we've got the $60,000 left on that grant. I did claim, about $9,000 grant from the general fund this month. I'll probably do a lot more in January and February. So that's not reflective. I know this is hopefully the worst of what our general fund finances look like this year, but there's not much you can do, just because November is just a low apportionment month, so. Please have questions.
Well, just, our funding gets adjusted, right?
In January, which could be good or bad. I mean, it should be a little bit better, just because we have a few more kids than what not a lot of kids, but we have a few more kids than what I put in the budget, so that'll increase. However, also when I did the budget, we didn't know that we were not gonna get all of our TTK funding for the year. And they are saying that in March, that's probably gonna be, we're gonna not getting our TTK funding after March. So I don't know, unless something changes. That.
So we'll have a lot better guess on our,
In January.
so February meeting is when we would board and see it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, February meeting.
I move to approve total expenditures for November, $495,069.19.
Second. So move to second to approve the payroll and send the bills, amount of $405,069.98. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going into executive session. RCW 32.30. Purpose of evaluating application for employment and will review performance of employees and final action will be taken during the executive session. And we will be in executive session for 45 minutes.
I'm gonna make it flat hour.
I was gonna say, I'm
It's
surprised you didn't
absurd.
say an hour, but.
Yeah, okay.
It's all this shit from the hip.
Yeah. Talk fast with purpose.
Yes. We're cookies.
That's what I was like, I want another rich.